Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Today we're going to talk about a couple different things. We're going to talk about some drone incursions over military installations. That was something we learned initially last month from Christopher Sharp from the Liberation Times, also along with Kyle Warfel. And we'll talk about that later on. There was another article about that this week in the Daily Mail, and we'll talk about that. But first, I want to do an update on what happened with the biggest debunker of our age after we posted that podcast yesterday with Scott Roeder, the crime scene reconstruction expert. Of course, Scott Roeder, along with others, there was also Chris Lathrop had reached out to Mick West recently and asked him to analyze the Las Vegas alien video to see if he could refute it, and he refused. And then Scott Roeder actually reached out and said if he could provide an analysis of his report that he has just put together with regard to the case. Of course, Scott Roeder proved that the family, the Kenmore family, that's a pseudonym, last year in late hours of April 30th, early morning hours of May 1st, 2023, something came down in their yard, and three members of that family, the father and two sons, witnessed two 8 to 10 foot tall alien beings. That's the only way they could describe them. And evidence of this was captured on cell phone footage filmed by the mother, Contra Kenmore, as we all know, as we talked about in multiple podcasts. And we have yet to get anyone from the scientific community to scientifically refute it. Now, Mick West yesterday posted this on Twitter. He says, "I am not going to analyze this video of a shadow behind a fence that some people think is a cloaked alien, even though I was offered $5,000 to do so." Okay, well then do it for free. You don't have to take the $5,000. Why do you do it for free? Right? I don't understand. Just do it for nothing. You never did. You have someone else, an expert, a video analysis expert with over 30 years experience, telling you that there were beings in that yard. As some noted debunker, you would think that Mick West would take this challenge up and try to debunk it and show us why Scott Roeder and all the rest of us are all completely wrong in our assertions, because there are creatures in that yard, and it has nothing to do with the shadow behind a fence. There's a face that appears above the fence that you don't want to talk about, as well as a creature that chased them out of the yard that you don't want to talk about, and you particularly do not want to. Mick West does not want to try to explain. He does not. Let me tell you something, folks. He does not want to try to explain the UB, the undeniable backbreaker, the little gray alien that we have discovered in the hiding out there by the front loader. He does not want to try to. How could he possibly try to explain that? How could he explain that away? What is he going to say about it? And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because as we all know, there were other strange, anomalous faces that appear back there, and there's no explaining it other than to concede. Right, that's the only explanation. The only analysis in the end that he would be able to provide, the only truthful analysis, would be that there were creatures in the yard, and that what that family was saying was true. But this, I can tell you, this has the debunker world up in an uproar right now, because not only is he talking about this, but Susan Gerbic, the former photographer at J.C. Penney's, turned who became the founder of the Guerilla Skepticism of Wikipedia, that fanatical organization of skeptics who believe in nothing, right? Who just completely poo-poo this whole UFO problem completely, right? Do not believe in an alien presence. They believe in nothing, right? And they don't care any kind of evidence that ever gets presented to these folks, right? They will just completely disregard it. They will not talk about it. They will not discuss any of the data, any of the hard data, any of the good stuff. They'll never. They are incapable of doing anything with this stuff, and that's one of the reasons. So not only there's a shakeup going on right now. There's concerns in the world of the debunkers over this, because Mick West showing his true colors here. He's a coward. He won't do it. He just can't do it. He won't try. He won't even try, because you know why? You're in a way it's a good smart move, because any sort of analysis, right? We're going to be able to take that, right, and show why he's wrong. it's going to be able to easily be shown why he's wrong. So that's why he won't do it. But so what he should be doing is actually looking at it, agreeing to the reality of the situation, that there are anomalous activities occurring in that video that are unexplainable, and that it does show that those people did see what they said they saw. They saw 2 8 to 10 foot tall beings, and there were other things there too that they didn't even know were there. That would be the correct analysis in the end. But he won't do it, and that's the reason he won't do it, because he can't do it. He can't debunk it. He's incapable of debunking it. But here's what he went on to say. This is what really was troubling. He goes, why turn down easy money? One reason is that it's taking advantage of someone's honest mistake. But really, it seems unlikely to be something that would end well. Compare with the story of Alfred Russel Wallace and the Flat Earthers. So basically, he's trying to jumble this up into this story with regard to flat earthers and this guy Alfred Russel Wallace, who was an English naturalist, explorer, geographer, anthropologist, biologist, and illustrator. Now, he had a link there to this lengthy Scientific American article, but I got the short version of it from Wikipedia, and this is what it states about Alfred Russel Wallace with regard to this flat earther wager that he took. In 1870, a flat earth proponent named John Hamden offered a 500-pound wager, roughly equivalent to 60,000 pounds in 2023, in a magazine advertisement to anyone who could demonstrate a convex curvature in a body of water such as a river, canal, or lake. Wallace, intrigued by the challenge and short of money at the time, designed an experiment in which he set up 2 objects along a 6-mile stretch of canal. Both objects were at the same height above the water, and he mounted a telescope on a bridge at the same height above the water as well. When seen through the telescope, one object appeared higher than the other, showing the curvature of the Earth. The judge for the wager, the editor of Field magazine, declared Wallace the winner, but Hamden refused to accept the result. He sued Wallace and launched a campaign which persisted for several years of writing letters to various publications and to organizations of which Wallace was a member, denouncing him as a swindler and a thief. Wallace won multiple libel suits against Hamden, but the resulting litigation cost Wallace more than the amount of the wager, and the controversy frustrated him for years. So he's trying to put it out there that if he's going to come out with his analysis, and then next thing you know, he's going to get sued. That's not going to happen, Mick. You don't take the wager. Just provide your own analysis of it. Why don't you just provide your own analysis of it without taking any money from anybody? You won't do it. You can't do it. It's impossible for you to do it because you can't debunk it. That's why you won't do it. I mean, there's just too many things that were going on in that video that you would not be able to disprove it. That's the issue here. That's the issue. But what he wants to do here, he wants to try to lump in Scott Roeder and the rest of us people who understand, who now realize for a fact that there was most certainly something in that backyard that was not human. Something very anomalous was happening in that video. There's no question about it. But he doesn't want to do that because then that, again, upends his whole, the entire shtick, this entire debunker shtick that he's been riding on for all these years now. It overturns the apple cart. But, I don't understand that. I really don't. I mean, you would think you'd be excited about this. I mean, you waited for proof your whole life, and here it is staring you right in the face, and you won't even look at it. Instead, what you do is you say something like this. And the reality of the situation is, and I've talked about this before, the people who look like flat earthers right now are the debunkers like Mick West and his crew. That's who look like the flat earthers. I've talked about this months ago. Right? That's who it is. I talked about this 6 months ago when we first had the first show about this, when we were able to show the absolute proof that shows that there was something in the yard that you can't explain. The fact that in the area above the fence where that face appears, there was 66% of pixels missing in that area for some reason. They were just deleted somehow, and there's no explanation for it. And it takes on the same form of the and description of the face that the people saw, that the witnesses saw. So you had that, but then there was more to it. It's well beyond just the face above the fence. Well beyond that. There's the thing that chased him out of the yard. There's the little UB creature in the back, the little gray alien-looking kind of thing. And then there was other faces that appear all over the place in this video throughout that whole 1 minute and 41 second long little video. Now, I'm not a probability and statistics expert, right? But I would have to imagine that when all of this stuff is happening all within a 1 minute and 41 second long video, cell phone video filmed in portrait format yet, right? All of this stuff happens within that small little frame of time on that video. I mean, the probability that it's something else, that there's some sort of other explanation that could explain all of this it doesn't exist. There's no the probability of that happening is infinitesimal. There's just nothing out there that could explain this away. There were too many things occurring in that yard to just explain it away. And it's not just the head above the fence. It's not just the creature that chased him out of the yard. It's not just the little UB creature that shows up. There was other things. There was things that were actually you had to change in order to see some of the things better. You had to adjust the sharpness and the contrast and things like that. And then all of a sudden you realize, wow, that is something there. I thought I saw something there. They were able to cloak themselves, make themselves invisible. And this is the same kind of thing that people have been describing for years. So a lot of these things, they have the ability to do this. They have invisibility powers, and you're seeing them on display in this video. Again, I'm not an expert when it comes to probability and statistics, but I can assure you that if one were to look at the high number of anomalous things that occur in that little small window of time in of that video, they would come to the conclusion that there's no way it could be anything else. There's no way that it could have been, there's some other explanation for this other than what the witnesses stated happened. But anyway, that was a shame. This is all projection by Mick West to try to compare this to the flat earthers. Well, then don't take the money and do it on your own and provide an explanation on your own without taking any money. Just put a little article together instead of just sitting back and saying it's a shadow and maybe it was raccoons and coyotes, because obviously that's not what it was. I responded to him. I said the debunking emperor has no clothes. I mean, basically, that's the truth. The truth of the matter now is that, that's what it is. It's like the same story. The emperor has no clothes. Well, the debunking emperor of our time has no clothes. It's over, and he looks like a fool now. And then the fact that Susan Gerbic from that she's making statements now, uninformed statements, terribly uninformed. She put a link to an article that appeared last year in the Skeptical Inquirer, and it was just BS. The article was BS. For one thing, that article came out only a couple of months after the incident happened. Since then, we've had all of this other analysis that's been conducted, that's been verified by video experts, Scott Roeder and people on his team. And so she's like living in the past here. And she's making statements that are, to me, right, if I was the family, I would be highly upset about this. Yeah, she writes, and this has already been explained by Kenny Biddle 42. Now, this Kenny Biddle, another fanatic, writing for Skeptical Inquirer, just making up bogus stuff, making up bogus assertions, and if you can, you'll see the link here. She leaves a link for that article there. And then Chad Cantrell, he's somebody, a friend of the podcast. He wrote, I haven't read that article until now. Thanks for sharing that. And then here's some of the comments that he made with regard to the article. He says, 1, that meteor didn't have a heat signature, which questions the validity of the meteor claim. 2, the smoke that Angel speaks of in this article is part of a cloaking mechanism. Watch the analysis in the video. Yeah, obviously. I mean, that article that doesn't mean anything anymore because we're way past that. And then she responds saying, Angel said that everyone needs to move on, Chad. It was a hoax by Angel and his brother. Move on. It was a hoax. She's saying it's a hoax. If that was me, if I was the family, I would be contacting a lawyer right now. That's what I would be doing. Because you have someone saying that you perpetrated a hoax when they know, and those people, they've never said it was a hoax. No, they never admitted to it that it was a hoax. They just don't want to talk about it anymore. It has nothing to do with that. They ended up moving out. The whole family moved out of the house. They were having other kinds of experiences after this incident happened, and they moved out of the house. And they don't want to talk about it anymore. They don't want to. They don't like this. They didn't like that experience. That has nothing to. They didn't perpetrate a hoax, and none of them ever stated that. Only people like Susan Gerbic is stating that. And Chad Cantrell responded and said, it's not a hoax, Susan. Don't you have some wiki pages to alter with misinformation? That's right. I know you are. I know who you are. You're a misinformation agent, right? and he calls me out, Jim QK, Good Trouble Show. Yes, they are misinformation agents. That's what she is. She's the head of that Guerilla Skepticism of Wikipedia. Of course, I'm sure at some point Wikipedia is going to put a bogus story on there about the Las Vegas alien case, and it's going to be total nonsense, right? Because they have control of this somehow, and it's not right. It's not right. Basically, you're putting out misinformation with regard to stuff. And then she responds saying, "Sigh, and you started out sounding like a reasonable man. Never mind." And then he responds, "I am a reasonable man, Susan, but I don't trust clowns or photographers from J.C. Penney. Being a skeptic is necessary and a wonderful quality to possess, but the body of evidence in the Las Vegas case points to alternate explanations than prosaic theories would suggest." Exactly. And it's just a shame that this is where we are. And in one way, right, this should open up a lot of people's eyes. I know there's a lot of people out there who just live for to hear about things getting debunked, and they're skeptics themselves. They don't like the idea of UFOs and aliens. But guess what? I'm sorry to tell you guys, you've been getting led down a garden path by the likes of these people. Like I pointed out before, they have you by the nostrils and they're just dragging you around. They think you're foolish. They look at you as marks. You're a bunch of dummies in their eyeballs. They don't care. They're just gonna, for whatever reason, right? For all we know, Susan Gerbic could just be some lady who just doesn't believe in any of this stuff. And some of the stuff that she's talking about, I'm sure I would agree with. I think that there are people out there that do pull off hoaxes and things like that, in different avenues, different venues here, and non-UFO kind of stuff, right? I'm sure that there'd be some things I would agree with her with, but I think she's just walking around in life with blinders on, and she put this together, and she thinks she's important now. If you want to be really important, Susan, why don't you just try to just be more truthful about things instead of lying and putting up this phony show that you put up? Because to me, right, everything about you seems phony. You seem like a complete phony, just like Mick West, complete phony. Why? I like to ask the mainstream media out there who seem to call this guy up all the time. This is my problem. This is why I've been trying to push this, is because I don't like the idea of this guy getting brought on as an expert. He's not an expert. He's a dishonest actor. That's who he is. He is not an expert when it comes to this. He won't even look at it. He was brought on to Inside Edition and said it was raccoons or coyotes, and that was it. And he said that the other thing was just a meteor. After when anyone who looks at all the evidence, you will realize that could not have been a meteor because it landed in someone's yard and there were things that got out of it. And we see those things on that video. And those people weren't lying. It was not a hoax. None of them ever said it was a hoax. But that's what Susan Gerbic's trying to do right now. She's trying to change the story, to put that little seed in people's minds out there. Well, just forget about it, because you can't trust these people. You cannot trust them. And I implore the mainstream news outlets out there that seem to always want to platform this guy like he's some sort of an expert, but obviously you see that he's not. He's a disingenuous actor. He will not provide an analysis of this. And now Scott, he was asked to do it without getting any sort of money, but now he was offered $5,000, and now he's saying, this is gonna turn out to be just like what happened with this guy back in the 1800s. We can't have that. I don't want to become another Alfred Russel Wallace embroiled in litigation for the rest of my life and end up losing money on this. That's complete bogus. That's a complete bogus position to take. Just do it. Just do it. Provide the analysis. Make it a truthful analysis. Or you don't understand. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, I can't figure this out." That's where he probably would probably go with this. He'd probably say, "I don't know what to say about it. There are things happening here." If he was to be if Mick West were to be truthful, he would probably come to this conclusion. If he were to be truthful, he would probably come to the conclusion that I can't explain this. There is no explanation for this. I don't know what to say about it, and that's all I could say about it. That's probably the best you're going to get from him. But you're not going to get that from him because he doesn't want to even go there with it. He never will. Because I don't know why. Because again, he thinks this is, I don't know what. I mean, maybe he wants to go through his whole life like this, right? Where there's this, where people don't know, so he gets the whole time while he's alive on this earth, he gets to be comfortable in the knowledge that people don't know that I'm really wrong. That's what it seems like to me. Is that what it is? I mean, because at some point, right, you're going to be proven wrong. Why don't you just get on the bandwagon yourself right now and turn this whole thing around for yourself? Because as time goes on, you're going to look extremely silly. That's what you're going to look like. Because to me, right now, you look silly by what you're doing here. This is total nonsense. This is a dishonesty at its best, at its height. It's incredible, and I can't believe that anybody would fall for this or anybody would take you seriously after this. How could anybody take Mick West seriously after this? How could anybody? Forget about the $5,000. Don't do it. Again, you don't need to take the $5,000. Put something together yourself and explain why Scott Roeder is wrong. Why can't you do it? You know why? Because you know he's right, and because if you put anything out there and you know, if you try to pretend debunk it, like put up some phony reasons, right? You know it would be easily torn to pieces, and you can't do that, right? So so the only thing you really could do is say I can't explain it, right? And you don't want to do that because then that undermines everything you've been saying for all these years. Undermines everything. Anyway, enough with that. I just want to point this out. This is the epilogue to this little story here. It seems. Hopefully it is. I'd rather not even hear from these people anymore. Like I've talked about before, months and months ago. I was like, you know what, the debunkers, they mean nothing to me now. But here the thing is that I see them all. They're still making. Talking on Twitter, putting posts on Twitter into the public domain, talking about how there was never any good evidence. See, that was one of his recent statements. He made the statement that there's never been any really good evidence of aliens. When we've been talking about this here for over 6 months, and I know that he's aware of it. And so that, to me, that's dishonesty right there. You're being extremely dishonest, and that's why I just think people need to beware of these people, beware of them. I don't know what their agenda is. I don't know who they're working for. I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know why they're lying so blatantly and acting like this. I just don't know. I can't explain it, right? But if anything, right, if they really truly don't believe it, right, then these people are the flat earthers. To me, they're no different than flat earthers at this point. And I've been saying that for months now. They're no different than flat earthers, but yet here they're projecting. He's trying to compare this whole situation to this incident that involved flat earthers and this English naturalist back in the 1800s, and how that guy's life was turned upside down because he took a challenge where money was offered, money was put on the table. Then again, like I said, you don't have to take the $5,000. You could just do the analysis yourself, and just, who cares, right? It doesn't matter what anybody says afterward, right? You're still going to have all the people that follow you, and they'll either accept it or they won't. I would have to imagine that a lot of them will not. I would imagine, like I've stated in that show yesterday, the more people, like any logically minded person that were to sit down and absorb all the totality of all of this evidence, not just the video, not just the stuff that happens in the video itself, but everything else. You'll find a lot of it, a good chunk of it, in Scott Roeder's report, which also includes information that was compiled by Chris Lathrop. You'll find a lot of it in that document, and you'll find a lot of it in a lot of the videos that I've been putting out, a lot of the podcast shows that I've been doing over the last 6 months where I talked about this. There's a mountain of evidence, right? A mountain of it, and in the final analysis, there is no question that there were creatures in that yard that were non-human, and obviously they were intelligent. They were using some sort of technology to cloak themselves. That's the truth of the situation. Mick West doesn't want to admit that because, again, he can't. It undermines everything. It undermines his. What happens to Metabunk? What happens to all of that stuff if he admits to this reality? He can't do it. Susan Gerbic, another one. I mean, this undermines all of the nonsense that they have. All this army of people. They actually call them a cabal. They refer to themselves as a cabal of people who are controlling certain pages on Wikipedia with regard to topics like UFOs and alien abduction and that kind of thing. And always, right, when you look at those Wikipedia articles, it's always the final word, it seems to come from debunkers. Most of the articles are composed of comments and assertions made by, armchair assertions, by the way, made by people like Brian Dunning and Mick West and things like that. They're controlling it. They're controlling the narrative of this on Wikipedia. It's supposed to be the free encyclopedia for everyone, where in this situation here, see, this undermines all of that. That's why Susan Gerbic is upset about this. This undermines all of that, right? Because now they're going to have to go back and look at and remove a lot of these comments, a lot of this information they have in there that tries to debunk everything, because now we know that they're really here. This Las Vegas case proves that there is something here, just as described by millions of witnesses over the last 80 years, right? So it changes everything, and they don't want to change. They don't like it. They don't like it. They never did like it. And again, so we don't know what the motives are for all of them. We just don't know. I don't know. Idiocy, I'm sure, one of the motives. I mean, some of them could be government plants. We just don't know. It's anyone's guess. I have no idea. All I know is that I know that they're wrong, and I know that I'm right, and a lot of other people on my side are right, and they're completely wrong. That's all I could say. Anyway, moving on. I want to talk about this drone incursion that they're talking about. This was something that was in the UK Daily Mail this week. I'm just going to read some of this article here. The headline says drone swarms targeting United States military bases are operated by mothership UFO, claims top Pentagon official. That top Pentagon official they're talking about is Christopher Mellon. It says here, a retired senior Pentagon official has confirmed that UFO motherships were spotted releasing swarms of smaller craft, adding further mystery to the still unexplained intrusions over multiple United States military bases. His statements come amid the release of 50 pages of Air Force records related to provocative drone incursions that one general calls close encounters at Langley. For at least 17 nights last December, swarms of noisy, small UFOs were seen at dusk, moving at rapid speeds and displaying flashing red, green, and white lights, penetrating the highly restricted airspace above Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. Senior ex-Pentagon security official Christopher Mellon told Daily Mail that the episode was part of a much larger pattern affecting numerous national security installations. Two of the notable aspects, he said, are the fact our drone signal jamming devices have proven ineffective, and these craft are making no effort to remain concealed. Yeah, to me, this sounds like this is NHI/ET. That's what this sounds like to me. This isn't coming from China or Russia. It's just not, folks. It's not. Mellon goes on to say, in fact, in some instances, it is clear they want to be seen as though taunting us. Yes, these beings, they don't care. That's what it seems like. And we've heard stuff like this before, where it seems like they're making displays or sometimes taunting military planes and things like that. We've heard this before. And then later on, it says. Mellon also said that since last year's Langley events, a similar series of intrusions has also occurred near Palmdale, California. And basically, a spokesperson for Edwards Air Force Base near Palmdale told Warzone this August that investigators were monitoring that situation to determine if there is any ill intent, and even if not, we are trying to find out why or who is doing it. Yeah, it's going to be pretty difficult to figure out why they're doing it, being that they're beings that don't think like humans, that they come from other worlds, apparently, or who knows, but they're not us. They're not like us, so whatever they're doing, it's going to be hard to figure out. Looks like they are interested in our military capabilities. I don't know. It doesn't sound good. None of it. All these incursions. I mean, why would they keep doing this? Obviously, they're interested in figuring out what we have and what we're capable of doing. But ill intent, I don't know, could be. The who is, I mean, again, we're being stupid if we're going to just sit there and, in some cases, of course, there's a Chinese spy balloon, right? Of course, right? Or some drone or something. But this is something different here. What the hell's going on over our military installations? Who's sending these things over here? It's not at some other country. That's not what it is. It's something from another world. That's what it sounds like to me. Similar efforts are still underway on the East Coast at Langley, but the commander of its Air Combat Command, General Mark Kelly, said the government is stumped. The bizarre craft above Langley, home to at least half the Air Force's fleet of F-22 Raptor stealth fighters, led to 2 weeks of emergency White House meetings. And over the past 10 months, Air Force investigators, local police, and even NASA analysts operating the space agency's high-tech WB-57F research plane have all taken a crack at trying to identify the mysterious craft with no answers in sight. What would the United States do, as General Kelly put it to the Wall Street Journal, if this happens over the National Mall? Yeah, well, something like that did happen over the National, over Washington, D.C. back in, 1952? Yeah. During the summer of 1952, we saw these things. We're having a repeat of things that happened before. And then General Kelly also said the unidentified craft appeared to be 20 feet long and were capable of flying over 100 miles per hour at an altitude between 3,000 and 4,000 feet. The journal noted an overlapping incident in which a University of Minnesota student and Chinese national was caught photographing United States Navy vessels under construction in nearby Norfolk, Virginia via commercial drone, but that's not what we're talking about here. Mellons later says, I make no claims regarding their origins. Regarding their origin, perhaps many are Chinese drones. But their brazenness, range, flight duration, reliability, resistance to countermeasures, and indifference to a detection are confounding. In some cases, motherships have been reported, Mellon said. And he says these motherships were extremely fast, larger vehicles that have been observed collecting or releasing a swarm of smaller craft. Now, there's a lot more to this article, and I'll just leave it there for you to check out. But I just want to point out that I don't think these are coming from other countries. I just can't see that. I don't believe it. I mean, these kind of things have been reported for a long time, actually. And in the 50s, 60s, I mean, there was these cigar-shaped objects, and objects would come flying out of cigar-shaped objects and then go flying back in. These kind of reports we've been seeing these for decades. They're all throughout the UFO literature. You'll find a lot of this stuff talked about in books by Richard Dolan. I mean, come on. I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, look, we have the proof that there's aliens there. We're all looking at it. The debunkers they got their undies in a bunch because they don't know what their next move is going to be. You got the Pentagon scared to respond to that letter that was sent to them back in June. We have whistleblowers continuing to come forward to talk about this, about what they know. We have Lou Elizondo's new book, Imminent, which reveals a lot more of what's been going on behind the scenes and what people know and think about these things and what they don't know. And here we are. We're still like acting dumb. Again, we're acting dumb. Totally. Overall, we're acting stupid about this. The human race continues to act stupid about this. The scientific community is still not taking this as seriously as it should be because of the stigma and ignorance surrounding it, because they have people like Mick West and Susan Gerbic, all ready and willing and able to try to make a fool out of them in the words that they put out there, the uninformed armchair debunker words that they like to throw out at people. So that's where we are with this. And I don't know what to say about it other than this needs to come to an end. This whole cover-up needs to come to an end. Everything, all of it. I mean, look at it. Are we being invaded? I mean, are they about to invade? Or are we about to experience the change like David M. Jacobs talks about in his books? I mean, what the hell's going on here? I mean, we got aliens landing in people's backyards. I mean, what was it? What happened there? I mean, was it shot down by government military pilots, military fighter jets? Did they shoot at something and that thing fell down? Maybe that thing that landed in the backyard was one of the objects that exited a larger mothership, and then and it came down in a backyard, or maybe something went wrong when it exited one of those motherships, and then that's how it ended up in the backyard. Who knows? But the bottom line is we see that we see the UFOs. We've been seeing images of them for years, right? Now we actually see what the occupants look like, at least some of them, right? We see what some of these occupants look like. We have evidence of that now. And we still act like we don't know what's going on here. No, something's here that's not human, and it's interacting with us, and it's very interested in our military installations. They're very interested in our nuclear capabilities, and they abduct people, and they remove sperm from men and eggs from women. Okay, how long are we going to just pretend like this isn't happening? How long are we going to just continue with this? How long are we going to allow disinformation? See, this is the problem. Because what the government's doing here, right, by not admitting the truth to the public, it just allows these fanatics, right, to just run wild, right, with disinformation, filling people's heads with nonsense. And basically, what it does is it sets us all up to get caught with our pants down when something finally does really happen, really bad happen with regard to these with regard to this presence here. Anyway, I want to say thank you all for joining me today. Until next time.